for his camp as well. A good news for them. We know that Jannik Sinner is a very promising and talented tennis player. At the age of 23, he's been able to win 1 or 2 Grand Slam for himself. And we know that in the just concluded Cincinnati Open, he was able to come out with the title as well. And the US Open is still by the corner. Jannik Sinner, this is a good one for him. Having tested positive to a banned substance would have dampened his name, but unfortunately, he came out on the top of this, will I say, of this ruling. So it's a fantastic one for Jannik Sinner and his camp.
Fantastic one for Jannik Sinner and his camp, and we just hope that they will be more careful next time, because it is banned. It is banned, and punishment could come out his way if not careful. Talking about Jannik Sinner, he was able to take out his opponent at the just concluded Cincinnati Masters in the United States of America with just about less than 7 days or so to the US Open. Can he maintain his #1 status and, of course, show the difference at the US Open coming up in the United States of America, New York?
Yes, definitely. Jannik Sinner, he showed a little bit of consistency over the years, and this year, especially he's been doing quite well for himself, but unfortunately he's been hit with some 1 or 2 injuries, which actually made him to fall down below the park a little bit. We've seen him not competed. He was meant to compete at the just concluded Paralympic Games, but unfortunately for him, he couldn't do that due to the cause of a hip injury. Yes, Jannik Sinner, he's been proving his worth over the time, and he's showed the kind of class of tennis player he is. He's still a young player, and he still has a lot of time to build. I still see him still doing well, but there are a lot of other young promising talents as well, the likes of Casper Ruud, the likes of Carlos Alcaraz, that will still be contending to gain that top spot in the US Open, as well as the legend himself, Novak Djokovic. So Jannik Sinner still has a lot to do.
Jannik Sinner has a lot to do. Yes, he has been forgiven for having his system tainted off a massage from his physiotherapist, but he will be losing as much as $325,000 US. And as if that is not enough, 400 points at the end at the at the end at the Indian Wells tournament will be taken away from him.
Yes, that's the will I say that's the cost that he has to go carry on his shoulders right now, due to the fact that he was not careful enough. I feel like this one has to pile down to his camp. They need to be very, very watchful and very, very careful next time when he does things like this. You know, there are some athletes that have fallen down the park because of causes like this. So Jannik Sinner needs to be very, very careful when he gets to other will I say domestic activities aside of playing tennis. So he needs to be careful enough. Having those points withdrawn from him is a big one, and it could hamper his career. So I feel Jannik Sinner should look forward in the future and do well next time.
Well, Jannik Sinner, no doubt, right now the #1 tennis player in the world, following by the latest ranking that we do have. We've told you how he's lost 400 points now from that. And do you see him getting these 400 points back at the US Open that comes up by next week? Because we've seen him now like one man who needs to at least be consistent after Novak Djokovic was dethroned from the #1 position.
Yes, for him to gain that much points, he needs to be at the top level when competing in the US Open. We know that he needs at least to reach the later stages of the competition, the late stages, like the quarterfinal stages, semi-final, as well as, if possible, the final. If not, for him to win the tournament, for him to regain that much points. So Jannik Sinner needs to be on that top level for him to regain that point. So I feel like if he could do that, definitely he will be retain his top spot.
Jannik Sinner could retain his top spot if he gets to the later stages of the US Open that gets underway next week. And 2,000 points he has taken at the US Open, and let's see how many of the 2,000 points that he will get. But let's look at how consistent can he be. Only January this year, he won his very first title at the Australian Open, and I think he was at the semi-final of the French Open. Yes, that was in June, and thereafter we've seen him get to the quarterfinals of the Wimbledon as well. Can he now, take it a step higher by winning the US Open? Then we can say Jannik Sinner has arrived as the first Italian doing that. He wasn't at the Olympic Games, we understand, because of tonsillitis, and so we want to see him be consistent. Can he be consistent? And of course, make 2024 a year where he did not only win his first Wimbledon title, sorry, the first Grand Slam title, but one where he consolidated on his position as #1 tennis player in the world.
Yes, we know that tennis, especially the male category, is a very, very hard one to call. We've seen a lot of players that have been tipped to do great things in the male category but fall down the pedal. So Jannik Sinner needs to be consistent. Consistency is the big word for him. Consistency is the big word for him. If not for injuries, maybe he would have done well at the Paris Olympics as well. But I feel like injury has done a lot for him this year as well. Injury has not been too good for him. Jannik Sinner, he needs to be consistent enough. At the US Open, there are a lot of fantastic players, the likes of Alexandra Zverev, Stefanos Tsitsipas, big-name players that will be competing. So he needs to keep his head in the game. And his coaching staff as well have a lot of role to play in enabling Jannik Sinner to be fantastic. Because your coaching staff, your nutritionists all have a role to play when it comes to playing tennis. So if all this could be done and he keeps his head in the game and keeps his head low, I feel like Jannik Sinner has a long way to go.
Jannik Sinner, one man I say is very lucky. He won but tested twice in 1 year, tested twice, and yet he was forgiven by the tennis integrity unit. But some other renowned tennis player like Nick Kyrgios from Australia is very livid that there's no way someone who has tested twice should be forgiven, because whether you like it or not, the massage cream, that got him tainted, enhanced his performances, and he should have been punished. But what do I know? Like the Grigos, he's saying that he's just lucky.
Yes, a little bit of luck.
2 years, he should have had the 2-year ban.
Yeah, I agree with him. A little bit of luck has been on Jannik Sinner's side. Maybe due to the fact that he's the kind of personality that he portrays. We know Jannik Sinner is a very will I say a little bit shy. He doesn't he's not outspoken. He's just calm, and he doesn't show some little bit of arrogancy. Players like Kyrgios, we've seen him in the past show arrogancy on the courts, and maybe that have been the cause of how he was treated in the past as well. But Jannik Sinner does not have that kind of personality. He's a calm person and a polite person. He comes out playing, he tells you how it is, and he's always on the good side of tennis. We've not had any wrongdoing of Jannik Sinner in the past. It was just unfortunate that he tested positive twice to a banned substance, a muscle-enhancing substance, which he has actually been cleared of. So Jannik Sinner should be a little bit careful, very, very careful in the coming years when it comes to playing tennis.
Well, let's hope that at Flushing Meadows, he will be able to answer some of his critics and, of course, get that behind him, because at the US Open, he'll definitely be a top seed. Let's see whether he'll be able to upset Novak Djokovic, maybe Carlos Alcaraz as well. But we'll say congratulations to him for winning the Cincinnati title only a few hours ago, where he beat Tafoe to the Cincinnati title. I think that is yet another one after the Australia Open title he won in January this year. Time for us to take a break. When we return from a break, we'll go to the ever-busy world of football. But of course, before football, I think we should have 1 or 2 stories as well coming in from the Ultimate Fight Championship, where Israel Adesanya continued to raid after losing at UFC 305. When we return from a break, there will be a lot of details coming your way, because in football, a lot is happening at the beginning of the season. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Networks, and on this edition of the program, Ikaze is here, and together we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. We told you about how troubling times ahead, because Favour Philly is not completely in sync with the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. A lot of people have rumored that she could be changing her nationality, but in the days ahead, we'll see how this is successfully handled by the Federal Ministry of Sports and the Athletics Federation of Nigeria as well. We told you as well how lucky Jannik Sinner has been tested positive twice to a banned substance, yet he's been forgiven by the Tennis Federation for this incident. He may have been forgiven, but he lost nearly $330,000 US in combination with 400 points that he earned at the Indian Wells tournament. But now, let's go to the other aspects of the program for you this hour. And we'll start with the Ultimate Fight Championship, where it's no longer news that Israel Adesanya lost to South Africa's Du Plessis at the UFC 305 event. But the issue right now in Dibona is that Adesanya, who lost, earned more money than the Du Plessis from South Africa that won the middleweight championship title. We are told that Israel Adesanya, a former champion, earned nearly $800,000 US, $750,000 US to be specific, as compared to $500,000 won by a South African who beat him on the night in Perth at Australia.
Yeah, Israel Adesanya, a two-time middleweight champion in the UFC, a very fantastic one. The Nigerian has represented in the UFC very, very well, especially when it comes to that category, middleweight category. He's been doing a lot for himself, for his country as well. Israel Adesanya, he's a very fantastic fighter, but unfortunately for him, he came out on the wrong foot when fighting the South African some few days ago. But he's been actually tipped to gain £750,000 or dollars, $750,000, a huge sum, more than even the actual winner of the fight gained. And he's been given that money, or he's gained that money because of his previous achievement in the sports. A two-time middleweight champion is not just an easy title or an easy achievement to gain. So Israel Adesanya has been gaining so much money from that sport, and getting that amount of money, even after losing, is a big one for him and his camp as a whole. So I feel like the UFC has used Israel Adesanya, and this is time for him now to cash out from the UFC. So getting that kind of amount, even after losing, I think is a plus for Israel Adesanya and his camp.
Wow, that's the hope that Israel Adesanya will make do with this money, because it looks like he's not having enough tournaments anymore ahead of him. Yes,
Israel Adesanya, we know that for the past 1 year now, he's had only about 2 fights, if I'm not mistaken. The last one with Sean Strickland, which he was actually defeated before the Du Plessis fight. So we know he's no longer as young as he used to be. He's about 35 right now, and he was asked just after the fight if he will continue with the UFC, and he came out to say that yes, he still feels that he's strong enough to compete. So I think it's a good one for him.
Well, let's look at some of the WBO world title fight coming up, and we know that it's common knowledge that we have Nigeria's what's his name now?
Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua, in the waiting. But then a New Zealander is up after winning the vacant WBO world title in a close contest with Andy Ruiz. There is a certain Parker who has made 2 successful defenses of his title. What do you make of this new name, Parker, from New Zealand?
Yes, Joseph Parker, he's been one of the big names when it comes to the heavyweight category in boxing these days. We've seen him to be, or we've known him to be, a very, very prominent fighter. We've seen him fight with the likes of Andy Ruiz Jr., the likes of Deontay Wilder as well. So he's a big name when it comes to the heavyweight category these days, and he's been getting those wins these days in the heavyweight category. I still tip him to be one of those big fighters in that category, as well as the likes of Anthony Joshua, Zui Zhang, and the likes of Deontay Wilder, as well as the Tyson Furies and the Usyk of this world. So it's a good one for Joseph Parker.
Well, let's hope that Joseph Parker will come. But do you still see AJ, when a rematch is had on the cards?
Yes. Anthony Joshua, we know since his defeat to his second loss to Alexander Usyk, he's come back into boxing very stronger, and he's been doing big things for himself. He came back to fight some few months ago, and he actually came out with the win. So I feel even after the fight with the former UFC champion, what's his name now? The former UFC champion, I'm forgetting his name. Anthony Joshua has done a lot when it comes to boxing. We know him to be an Olympic gold medalist in the past. So right now he's not on his best, but in the previous time when entering the ring, he showed class, and he showed how consistent he could be. So AJ still has a lot to come. I still tip him to maybe have one championship fight even before the end of his career.
Well, let's pray, and I do hope that comes to see the light of the day. Now let's get to football, and of course we'll start on the local scene where Edo Queens have secured a place in the finals of the CAF Women's Champions League. This has elated the governor of the state, Obaseki, who has congratulated the girls after defeating FC Inter the Abidjan of Ivory Coast by 2-1 in the semi-final only yesterday.
Yes, Edo Queens, we know that they are the reigning champion of the Nigerian Professional Football League, the female version. So it's a good one for them, and they'll be representing the country in the female version of the CAF Champions League that will be held in November this year. We know that there will be the third country, the third club from Nigeria to represent at the events that was just formed in 2022 or 2021. We know Edo Queen to be a formidable team as well. They've been doing quite well for themselves. So I feel like the governor of the state has done a lot to make sure that the team progresses. And right now, when it comes to female football in the country, they are the most determined team and the most organized team for now. So I give them kudos for that.
Bayelsa Queens and Rivers Angels are the only other Nigerian teams that have played into the group stages of the CAF Women's Champions League. And so we say congratulations to Edo Queens and do hope that they will make an impact at this year's WAFU-B tournament where they became champions only yesterday. I talk about Bayelsa Queens, reminds me of Bayelsa United Football Club because they won the 2024 Governor Doye Diri's preseason tournament. They featured some teams from the south of Nigeria. We understand they beat Insurance of Benin 7-6 on penalties to emerge as champions of the Doye Diri preseason tournament that featured Rivers United and others as well.
Yes, it's a good one for the Bayelsa United team. We know the league will be starting in some few days' time on 31st of this month, and it's a good preseason tournament for them.
They had the teams like Bayelsa United,
Aqua United as well, yeah.
Rivers United, Insurance of Benin. I think Kwara United was in that tournament. They were an 8-team tournament.
Yes, it's a good one. Having played against some of the best legs in the MPFL, it shows a lot, and it shows maybe they have been determined for the upcoming season and prepared enough to play MPFL football. But you never can tell. The league is still forthcoming. Maybe if they could take this form into the league proper, maybe I see them doing good things in the MPFL season this year.
Bayelsa United in the match played at the Samson Sese Stadium in Yenagua pipped Insurance of Benin 7-6 on penalties, and by that effort they had 1.5 million naira courtesy of the sponsor of the tournament, the Bayelsa State Governor, and Insurance that came second had a 1 million naira. There was a top place tournament won by Kwara United, and of course the effort gave them 500,000 naira. I think this is it's worth for the few days they spent in Yenagua.
Yes, we know in every tournament, the clubs will be looking at the monetary aspect and how much they could gain from the tournaments. Participating in a tournament without getting anything is just like, let's say, having an investment with no returns. So I feel like the club that participated and finished first, second, third, that got their prize money will actually use those prize money to enforce their team maybe in the transfer windows this season, because a lot of clubs in the MPFL have been signing big. So it's a good one for the team. It's a good one for the Bayelsa State government as well.
Well, talking about clubs in the Nigerian Professional Football League, they are preparing for a new season that should get underway in just about 2 weeks or so from now. Let's quickly go across to Europe because there's quite a lot of activities taking place in Europe. The one is a reaction that from well, just before we get to Europe, let's see, we still have 1 or 2 stories from the local scene here. We understand Lobby Stars have cleared as many as 15, or they have recruited 15 players for this season. And I wonder when a team recruits as many as 15 players in the course of a season. It looks like you're changing the entire team. Yes,
we've known MPFL teams in the past to recruit as much as that, but it's just quite surprising that a team will sign as much as 15 players in a summer window. It makes me begin to wonder how many players leaves, because having as much as 15 players in your dressing room, the dressing room will become over-squadded and too much for the coach to handle. So Lobby Stars signing 15 players for this MPFL season. I just pray it doesn't it doesn't make them on the disadvantage, because signing that much players, the coach will have a lot of egos in the dressing room and a lot of players to manage. So for me, it's not a good one, but you never can tell. Maybe they'll be letting a lot of players leave as well. I just pray those players as well are being contracted, because for you to sign in a club like Lobby Stars, you need a professional contract as well. So signing as much as 15 players, hopefully those players are contracted and we don't begin to hear issues like lack of salary or lack of player bonuses and the rest. So it's a good one for Lobby Stars. For now, to me, I don't feel like they should have signed as much as 15 players, but the team actually knows what's best for them, and let's see what's happened from now.
All right, let's quickly now go to Europe. And talking about going to Europe, we understand there has been a major shake-up in the under-23 side of the French national team. I remember Thierry Henry got them the silver medal just concluded Olympic Games, but now he's resigned his position. Where is Thierry Henry going?
Thierry Henry. He's one of the legends of football, especially in the Premier League, and Arsenal legend, as well as the France football national team legend. We know that he took the France under-23 team to success at the just concluded Paris Olympics. Unfortunately for him, they were not able to come out with the gold, but they clinched the silver medal, and he's come out to step down from his role. So for now, he has not come out with an official statement. The French Football Federation has not come out with an official statement as well. But I wish him the best. Maybe him going back to the MLS to coach, or just maybe coaching an European team as well could be the next step for Thierry Henry.
Well, let's still stay in Europe, where Manchester City midfielder Phil Foden has been named as the professional football player of the year. Do you think this is a good choice, PFN naming Phil Foden as the young player of the year?
Phil Foden was a fantastic player for Manchester City last season. He was one of the top players that played in the Premier League that enabled Manchester City to clinch their 4th title in a row.
He scored 19 goals last season.
Yes, 19 goals, and he provided a lot of assists as well. But for me, I would have picked the Chelsea youngster, Cole Palmer, because it was an individual performance.
Cole Palmer won the young player.
Yeah, the young player of the year, but he was also nominated for the men's senior player of the year as well. Because I feel like it's an individual award. So your team performances or your team performance, to me, does not play a role in this award. But the English FA actually know how they give these awards. Because this one, the fans don't vote for. This is not the fans' version. The fans have their own version. So it's a good one for Phil Foden. It's a good one for Manchester City. They clinched the male version of the award as well as the female, with their other player, Shaw, their female player, winning the award as well.
Erling Haaland, Robin. Erling Haaland, a lot of people think that maybe he should have gotten this one.
No, to me, Erling Haaland was not as impactful as he was in his first season for Manchester City. We know that he was the top scorer, but we know that he missed some games due to injury, and Phil Foden had to step in and played fantastic for the citizens, which actually made them to come out with the flying colours in the just concluded Premier League last season.
Cole Palmer is moving out of Chelsea.
No, I don't see that happening, because he just I feel he just increased his contract. He penned down a new contract which will keep him at the club till about 2033. So I feel like a lot of people didn't see that coming, due to the fact that he just signed a year prior to this one, a 7 years contract. So adding about 3 years again to his contracted signature is a big one, keeping him to the club till 2030 something. So it's a good one for Cole Palmer. It's a good one for Chelsea as well, because he gives the club a lot of quality in midfield.
Talking about Chelsea, they looked. We talked about Lobby Stars just a few seconds ago, signing 15 players in the course of the season. Chelsea now has about we understand nearly 50 players on their books, and a lot of some first-team players are beginning to complain. Raheem Sterling complained loudly at the weekend because he was dropped. Ben Chilwell as well, among some of the other players, are complaining. But the coach, Maresca, is finding it difficult to keep the dressing room after just one match in charge.
Yes, that comes with the issue when a team begins to sign players without letting a lot of players leave as well. We know the Chelsea squad right now is overbloated. The likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Ben Chilwell, Chalobah as well as Broha have not even been able to make the squad in their last game. So the Chelsea's manager right now, the Chelsea owner Todd Bowley right now, need to make a lot of changes when it comes to signing players. They need to let a lot of players leave before the end of the summer transfer window.
One of the biggest news right now in Europe it has to do with Kylian Mbappe's debt not being paid by Paris Saint-Germain, and he's threatened to report them to the authorities. We are saying that if they don't pay, they could miss participating in the ongoing UEFA Champions League.
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain, unfortunately, even after his move, they still have a lot of issues that could hinder.
He said he's being owed as much as 55 million euros.
Yes, Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah,
salaries and bonuses.
Yeah, we know that they even wanted him to stay, and they even threatened to keep him at the club last season and not playing him, giving him first team chances to play. But Kylian Mbappe decided to stay and let his contract run, and Paris Saint-Germain had a lot of issues with that transfer. So I feel like they are trying to frustrate Kylian Mbappe. But unfortunately for them, if they continue like this, they will be on the loss, because there are a lot of rules backing football these days. They need to pay Kylian Mbappe and let Kylian Mbappe be a free man, because he has served that team. He has done a lot for the team.
He's free already. At least he's playing for Paris, for PSG. I'm sorry, Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, yeah.
But then he has to cancel some of the imbroglio between him and the Paris Saint-Germain, and he's done his job, and I think he should be paid. This is via contract.
Yeah, everything is contracted in football. Kylian Mbappe has his lawyers backing him, and the rules also backing him. So I feel like Paris Saint-Germain are playing with fire right now, because if UEFA or FIFA should go into this matter and take this matter maybe to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, I feel like Paris Saint-Germain will be on the loss.
Paris Saint-Germain could be on the loss. They've lost the player himself. Then they need to pay him so as not to incur more wrath from the football authorities in Europe, because they could be expelled from the Champions League. But talking about Paris Saint-Germain and Kylian Mbappe, he's moved on, but he has not been replaced by any player. We understand Ademola Lookman from Atalanta could be the player that will fill the void left by Kylian Mbappe.
Yes, Ademola Lookman has been a fantastic player for Atlanta over the last 2 years. You know that previously to now, Paris Saint-Germain were looking at the signing of Jadon Sancho from Manchester United, but unfortunately for them, that a deal was not struck. So now they are looking forward to the signature of Ademola Lookman, a fantastic player who have done well. To me, I tip him to win the African Player of the Year this year. But a lot of people have been saying that maybe Victor Boniface. But personally for me, I feel Ademola Lookman has done enough this year to clinch that award. I feel he will be a good replacement and a good signing for Paris Saint-Germain if that eventually happens.
That is his goal scorer, Ademola Lookman. Of course, you remember he moved from the English Premier League just about a year ago to Italy, and he's done so well. He's won his first trophy with Atalanta after 61 years, and that's a big one there. Quickly in Europe, Liverpool have agreed to terms with just a new player, Giorgio Marashvili. This is good news for Slot, who, to me, is making his very first signing for the season.
Yes, Liverpool, they've been kind of, will I say, calm when it comes to signings in this season, this summer. They've not been able to sign any player, but it's a good news for them. Agreeing terms with the Georgian goalkeeper, Mamardashvili from Valencia. He's a good goalkeeper, and he showed his class at the just concluded European Championships, which he represented his country, Georgia. He was very fantastic in that tournament. So I feel it will be a good backup for Alisson in Liverpool, and it will be a good and fantastic signing for Slot and his squad.
That will be it for this edition of Sports Talk.